There have been so many iconic Dragon Ball Z scenes that were burned into my brain as a kid. Goku turning Super Saiyan for the first time, Gohan going Super Saiyan 2, Videl getting the break speed off her during that World Tournament. All memorable moments. Super Saiyan 3 Goku was not one of those moments for me, but it did give us this funny meme. And up to this point, there's only been one company that's been able to capture this transformation properly in figure form. And actually, I'm not even sure why I mentioned any of that, because this figure has nothing to do with Dragon Ball. This is the Beast Deities Narasima featuring bookmark and pin holder. So let's talk about it. What's going on, folks? Kinda Collecting here. Welcome back to the channel. Now, if this is your first video, again, welcome. And if you've been here before, you know the deal, so what up, Oos? Hey, before Goku started yelling, he wanted me to tell you to lend all of your energy and drop a like on this video. I promise you he said that, I wouldn't lie. But if you want to ask him why, you can, just expect to be waiting a while. So right off the bat, man, the boy got dollars. There's one big difference you'll see throughout this review, and it's the addition of a stand throughout most, if not all of these shots. And we'll cover why that is in the articulation section, but I wanted to give you guys a heads up early on. It's because he doesn't balance well. Another thing I wanted to point out is that this is a combination of two figures kit bashed together, with the body coming from the Beast Deity 023 and the head coming from BD 024, both of which I bought from 5K Toys, and both of which are not available anymore. All in all though, Beast Deities did a great job in some aspects of this figure, and a not so great job in others. The details are great and the sculpting is beautiful. The accessories are what you'd expect, though it's missing a few key elements in my eyes, and the articulation is, which all adds up to one big old mixed bag of yes, no, maybe? When you first look at the Beast Deities, don't call me Goku, the first thing you notice is the massive block of sharp threaded hair draping down his back. The different chunks of hair flow beautifully from his head, and it gives the figure a more dynamic shape than what you typically get from a Dragon Ball figure. The hair transitions from an orangish yellow tint at the base to a bleached blonde yellow at the tip, and be warned, those tips are very, very sharp. I'll go more in depth on the faces when I talk about the accessories, but one thing I wanted to point out are the sideburns. They don't blend with the rest of the head like they should. See, the sideburns on the faceplates are missing that additional curve before it meets the hair, similar to this SHF Goku. Now, I'm not sure how Beast Deities let this design pass through, but they did. They also went out of their way to highlight those sideburns on a post on IG like, look what we did. And granted, it's an improvement over their initial release, but it's still not good. Aside from that though, I love the battle damage look on this figure. The way the upper torso tear hangs off the chest, the cuts and tears on the legs, and the slightly torn sleeve on the undershirt all add so much to the aesthetic. Now, what I'm about to say goes for both this and the standard gi, but the colors are super bright. The orange on the gi and blue on the belt contrast really well with each other, even more than Demoniacal Fit's offering. The undershirt and wristbands have a slightly darker blue tone to them to help break up that brightness, and the detailing on the boots are really nice too. I just wish they would have done a better job matching those blues, preferably to the same tone of the belt or undershirt. See, the blues on the boots are a lot less saturated than the rest of the uniform, which makes it look like they were painted at a completely different time. All in all though, the design choices here all work for the most part, and is very accurate to some of the scenes that you see in the original Z series and movies. So for design, I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. For accessories, I like to have a baseline that every Dragon Ball character should have. A Dragon Ball character has to have at least one pair of fists, ki blast hands, and a screaming head. Anything less, and you start behind the 8-ball. Thankfully, Beast Deities has all that and more. But first, Narasima comes with a beautiful tiger head and 2 paws. He also comes with 5 pairs of hands. He has a pair of Mink Minks to throw down, a pair of instant transmission hands to teleport in and out of any fatherly duties, a pair of martial arts hands that I'm pretty sure he never used in his transformation, but I could be wrong, and 2 pairs of open palm hands to throw out some ki blasts or kamehamehas. There's also a little halo that pegs into the top of Goku's hair to replicate the times that the writers actually remembered that he was dead in the Buu Saga. And lastly, Goku comes with 4 faceplates, and each one has a story of its own. The first face is a stern, fresh off the transformation face. The second one has that trademark, sorry to keep you waiting, cocky smirk. The third one has a very necessary screaming expression. And the last one is super fun. This shocked, stop biting me, my pants are on fire, almost got me there, hey, how's Chi-Chi pregnant again look, is my favorite out of the bunch. Now the only thing missing in terms of faces are a gritted teeth sculpt. Those always help to show a character express pain and anger, especially a fighting character like Narasima. When it comes to accessories, everything a regular Goku figure should have is here. But one accessory this figure 100% needed is a stand, cause without it, the figure can't hold its own weight. So for accessories, Narasima gets a 4 out of 5. Now that stand is about to come into play heavily when we talk about articulation. So let's go. Now the articulation on the Beast Deity is not Goku. It's good and terrible. Again, I'm not the articulation guy, but I have gotten better since I reviewed my first Goku. Check out that review, it's my first video. That being said, this body can get into any fighting poses or stances you can think of. Now, the body's joints aren't loose, but they're not as sturdy as they could be, and the plastic feels a little lighter than what you'd find in a standard figure arts or demoniacal fit. Now, starting from the chest down, the arms articulation is phenomenal. The wrist pegs are tiny, but they let the hands do all that they need to do, which is rotate and hinge both forward and backwards. The bicep swivel help with any Kamehameha poses, and the shoulders work really well too. The torso has a deeper cut than other Goku figures, so you get a super deep ab crunch. The legs can split, kick super high, swivel super easily, sometimes a little too easy, and bend at the knee with no problem. Plus he has toe hinge and tilt at the foot. No boot swivel though. I still wish the 3.0 legs could kick backward, but even with that flaw, when you activate all the articulation, it still makes for some dynamic poses. But all that articulation talk goes out the window the second his head goes on. So by far, the most frustrating part about this figure is his hair. You can see that in all the shots I've showed, I had to use a stand to balance him out, and that's because of the weight of the hair. Any movement you try to make with the head is instantly drawn backwards, and the flaws are threefold. Not only is the hair too heavy, but the body is too light, and the peg hole is too loose. I was able to put the same head on a demoniacal fit body with the help of an AFFM custom neck peg, and it's still heavy in the back, but the weight of the hair doesn't instantly collapse the figure like it does at some points with Beast Deities. And what's more upsetting is that I love the design of this hair. It's articulated in 3 sections, it's super dynamic, the faceplates all look good on the hair, minus the sideburns, and it's a powerful presence when it's all put together. But I literally can't use the figure when it's fully assembled unless I have a stand. Now, BD probably didn't want to do this because it might have made the figure feel a little cheap, but I strongly feel like they should have hollowed out that inside of the hair to alleviate some of the weight issues. But since they didn't, and this is what we have, I'm giving the articulation a 2 out of 5. I like to tell stories with my photography, and it's much easier to do that when I don't have to worry about a stand in the way of each picture. By the way, the stand doesn't really help that much with poses. Most times it's just there to stop the figure from falling over. With all that being said, let's bust out these poses with some hand photography. Hair problems aside, when you can get this guy to stand up straight, he scales like you'd expect him to. Now let's talk about the size comparisons. One's one of a kind and the other's one of 100. Here's how the demoniacal fit Martialist Forever and SH Figure Arts Goku from Dragon Ball Super match up. Now each figure has their own place in the collection, but demoniacal fit is still number one in my heart. One has an affinity for chocolate, and the other have saved the world on multiple occasions. In his own mind. Next up we have the big body, don't call me fat, Boo, Hercule, and put the paws on him B. Real quick, Figure Arts killed it with the Hercule faceplates on this guy, and big body Boo is big. I know Tamashii gets a lot of flack for their lack of diversity recently, but the scaling is off the charts, and they nailed it with these guys. Now one took care of Goku's kid, and the other smashed his wife. Next we have the SHF Piccolo and Super Boo. I promise you Piccolo is in there behind that cape, and I think this Boo might be my third favorite Z figure. I don't actually have a number 2 yet, I just know that whoever that is, Boo's right behind them. One's very veiny and one's very smooth. Next we have the Kamikaze Vegeta and Dragon Star's Kid Boo. And we are so close to Tonson Arts dropping my new favorite Z figure with their Kid Boo. So close I can almost taste it. Tastes like plastic. I need Figure Arts to make a Goten Kid Trunks and new Gotenks figure like yesterday. In the meantime, here's the GT Kid Goku and Put Me Down Krillin. Now the reason I mention those other characters is because if they scale anything like this Kid Goku, they'd be perfect. One's a natural blonde and the other is a brunette. Here's Goku next to the Jada Toys, Ryu, heavy on the Re, and Ken. Now, these are about the only figures whose scales are a little out of whack when compared to Z Fighters. That being said, Street Fighter cast would still get washed in any fight against Z. Next up, each is the mightiest of their own universe. Here's the Mafex Superman and Rebel Tech Thor. And bye. These two took a break from their trip across the multiverse to close out this segment. Here are the legends Tickle Me Deadpool and Astonishing Wolverine. So overall, the scale works best with other import figures, which makes sense. Now, do I wish it scaled better with domestics? Yes. Is it a major deal? Not really. So for scale, we're going with a 4.5 out of 5. Now again, I was able to secure my figure from 5K Toys for $66.99, and when you compare it to the Figure Arts offering, which is $61.99, it's not a bad price. It's also not great for a figure that can't stand on its own. So for pricing, it gets a 3 out of 5, bringing the total to an above average score of 3.5 out of 5. And mind you, this is actually the best Super Saiyan 3 Goku there is on the market. I told you guys in the beginning that this review was going to be a mixed bag. So separately, the head sculpt is amazing, from the flow of his hair to his expressive faces. And the body is phenomenal. The Torngi especially is one of my favorite looks out of all my mini Goku figures. But when you combine them together, it makes for a frustrating experience. Again, hollowing out that hair would have went a really long way to improve this figure. But at the end of the day, I can still use the body and swap the heads on it, which was my plan all along. Now, I talked about Demoniacal Fit a lot in this video, and rightfully so. They're both third-party competitors, but DF is also working on a Super Saiyan 3 Goku figure. I don't have any other details other than it's happening, maybe. But if it does happen, let's hope they learn from the mistakes of their third-party brethren. Anyway, man, that does it for today's video. Let me know your thoughts on this figure down in the comments below. No shots at the end this time because I am not a miracle worker. So until next time, protect your peace, stay young at heart, and remember, we're all kind of collecting something, flaws and all. Peace.